have to apologize in advance. I'm a little bit ill when I'm recording this, and so please excuse the sniffles and any sneezing that may occur.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another one of my videos. And happy Christmas! Because hopefully I'm posting this either on Christmas or the day after. We'll see. So, seeing as this is a Christmas post, it seems appropriate that I talk about something Christmas related. And my Christmas related topic today is sadly not presents and Christmas trees and Santa Claus. No, it's Christmas essays, which, although not nearly as fun as the holidays, are something that life science students get. All of us got it, we all have to do it, and since that's the case, it's better to just make the most of it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I'm managing to write my essay, get my resources, make enough resources to have a proper bibliography reference section at the end of my essay as well. Because I'm not at uni right now, I'm at home. Home is in Spain for me. And, well, in Spain, I don't have an English library available, especially not a uni library, which has all the textbooks and the journals and the articles that I would normally use to write an essay, to study for a test, etc. And I do have a test to study for as well, which I will also cover today. So yeah, I'm gonna dive into that. Also, kind of give you guys an overview of what a life sciences essay is, because you may have, but it's highly unlikely that you've written a proper scientific essay before coming to university. And this is my second essay, but it's my first summative one. So at the beginning of the year, they give us a formative essay to write, and it just to kind of get you into the feel of it, to get some feedback. But a scientific essay is not an English essay. Just because it's got the word essay in it doesn't mean that you can follow STEM paragraphs. No. Scientific paragraphs are, essay. Let's rewind a bit. No. Scientific essays are, well, the word scientific should give you a clue. They're not waffly. You kind of want to get straight down into the facts and discuss facts. So you're not just talking nonsense, saying fancy words, you're discussing a topic and some facts and actually divulging in a current scientific topic. In this case, for a Christmas essay, my scientific topic is antibiotics, antimicrobial resistance, and control of disease. So obviously these three things are really closely tied together. Most people know that antibiotics are being really heavily overused in the modern world because there's a misconception that they can be used for anything, and then there's also the misconception that as soon as you feel better you can stop taking them even if you've been prescribed a full course. And these things lead to bacteria getting resistant to antibacterial drugs, and that's not good. That means that more bacteria can infect more people, and there's less things that the people can do about those bacteria because drugs don't work on them anymore. Not yay. So that being said, when you're writing a scientific essay, it's not just words. You have to include figures, tables, diagrams if you're talking about something, say the structure of a bacterial membrane, for example, to see how antibiotics interact with bacterial membranes. All of these kinds of things, and you have to know how to reference, how to put references in your text, how to structure the text, writing an abstract as well, because the abstract is the first thing that people see. Some people won't even bother reading. Obviously your essay is going to get read, but some people won't even bother reading a scientific paper if the abstract is no good. And the abstract is what most scientific papers, essays, journals, articles, even chapters of books have abstracts when they're just singled out, because the abstract gives you a summary and an overview of what is going to be given in more depth in the actual paper. So, back on track. What was I talking about? Right, so essays. We'll start with my essay. As I said, I don't have a library here, so I don't have hard copy textbooks available to me. I don't have journals and articles available to me on hand. I can't just get out of bed and go to the library in the morning and work on my essay there. And that was a bit of a challenge at the beginning because I was unsure of how I was going to find all these resources. Yes, the Warwick Library has a lot of e-resources, but I wasn't sure which resources I was going to need and how I was going to look them up. So I decided to kind of go on a little scavenger hunt through the internet a couple of days ago and came up with surprisingly a large number of resources that are just absolutely fantastic to base for finding any topic of journal articles, textbooks, scientific magazines, like the New Scientist, oh dear, and other types of resources. And so I'm going to share a couple of those here. I'm going to post links to most of them down below, so anybody who's currently writing their essay or is going to start within this holiday can totally use them. But also for future references, because these are the kinds of websites and sources that have been around for a while, and they're reliable and they're going to stay around, so they'll definitely be useful for anybody who has to write a scientific paper and doesn't have a close, easy access library with hard copies of these resources on hand. Plus, some people just prefer online resources. I'm not one of those people. I'm the kind of person where I'll find a good article online and I will print it out because I am a hands-on highlighter. If you can see that there, I am a very, very, very hands-on underline as I read type of person. So what I'm gonna do is, in a little bit, I'm actually gonna put in some screen recordings from my computer that show you the different sites and resources that I've used, how I've used them as well, including the Warwick Library one, because that is a big resource, but also how I've been using Google Scholar, because normal Google will give you millions and millions and millions of results, and a lot of the times after the first 4 or 5, they're pretty irrelevant. They don't really give you a good thing. Google Scholar is actually really good in giving you scholarly articles, so it gives you more reliable sources. Never use Wikipedia. Forget that Wikipedia exists, because Wikipedia will never give you good, valid, peer-reviewed information. It could be right. I'm not saying Wikipedia is always wrong. I'm just saying anyone can go into Wikipedia at any time and change stuff. And while some people would go in and change it for the better, not everyone does. So, in order to avoid accidentally saying that antibiotics don't exist in your essay because Wikipedia said so, I'm making up facts. I would 100% recommend not using it. If all else fails and you have found absolutely nothing on a topic and you just have zero except Wikipedia, yes, but it's a last resort. Recommendation, definitely avoid it. Yeah, so here are some of those screen recordings with a fancy little voiceover. Okay, so here we are with a quick screen recording. So the first and probably basest source that I would recommend using to find online resources that are reliable for an essay, or any assignment for that matter, would be Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is the finely tuned educational version of Google. So instead of getting millions of random websites that you would get if you just Googled something, you're gonna get scholarly articles and journals and links to websites that actually have more reliable sources of information. You're not gonna get Wikipedia on here, and you're not gonna get just normal websites. You're gonna get things like Science Direct, which is a source of, it has actual journals and actual technology, places that are actually going to give you proper journals. One thing is that most of the other links that I'm going to show you will actually oftentimes come up in Google Scholar. So one of them, for example, is nature.com, and that's just, it just shows you that basically these sources, they do overlap a lot, but it's good to kind of expand out and use a lot of them.
So here, for example, I looked up antibiotic overuse. This is a specific actual article that I was looking for. So here's a different article that I had found earlier and saved. Like I said, it's kind of good to make your references as you go along, so I definitely don't close a tab until I've written down my notes and written down my reference as well. So another link that I had led me to this article about antibiotic overuse. Then I decided to kind of use, when I find a good website, such as the British Journal of General Practice, for example, I try and take it, and then through inside of this website, I then search for more results, and I find other specific articles and topics that might be useful. So that's what I did in this case. The next one that I'm going to cover is Nature. So nature.com is another website that hosts loads and loads of papers and journals and articles, and it's got its own journal, Nature Communications, Nature Protocols, etc. But it also holds a lot of other journals and articles. So for example, I can do a search for the word antibiotic and see what comes up, articles and journal-wise, and I'm going to get, as you can see here, over 53,000 results. So there's a lot of things to go through here. If you have a specific journal that you're looking for example, you can come over here and add it in. Here, for example, the Journal of Antibiotics would be a really useful one, I'm assuming, and it'll finally tune my results a little bit more. So here's an example of one that I found that of Journal of Antibiotics for trying to figure out the mechanism of how antibiotics work. So I'll go through that in a bit and figure out which ones of these are worth using. Obviously, not every source that you come across is going to be worth using, but sometimes it is worth checking out other things. So another one that I really, really like and really recommend would be NCBI. And NCBI is also kind of directly linked with PubMed, as you can see here, PubMed Central, and they have so many resources, as you can see here. So here this is the link that led me to the bookshelf, and it's got so many different books that possibly have something on antibiotics and how they work. Then going through one book, for example, a result, it'll give me options on how I can get it, how I can read through it. Here's another one on, this is going straight to PubMed. So PubMed has a lot of journals and articles, and all of these have really useful, I'd say, resources. So once again, we're going through another PubMed, and this is an actual article here. So what we're seeing, and this is actually quite important, when you open up a journal article on most of these websites, you'll only usually see the abstract. And that is part of the reason why I outlined how important an abstract is, because it is what defines your paper. And a lot of times you'll have to actually find how you're meant to get the whole article. So here it says free PMC article. So here we go. Now I've got the whole article in front of me.
So sort of just to give you like a kind of idea of what I mean when I say essay writing process, the way that I plan these things out and I do my research and is I start with research. So I have a paper written, like, layout of how my essay is gonna go. So in this case, that is here. It's a bit messy. I'm a messy note taker. And so it's got my intro and then what my main text is going to be about, and from there I then take notes on each separate topic that I have to cover. And a main thing, because referencing is so important, is I try to reference as I go. So as I'm going through every single source of information that I come across that could possibly be useful for anything, I take that and I write down the reference immediately next to those notes. So that way when I'm then typing up the essay from my notes, I can put the reference in with the right number in the right way, because referencing is important and complicated. And it takes a lot more time to then go through and do it later. And you can lose a lot of marks and just have a lot of issues if you don't reference properly, because at the end of the day you are using other people's work to assist in developing your own. And it's important to be able to reference properly. Right, so now that you've kind of seen how I got all of my resources and I got my things organized, I guess it's time to talk about the writing. And actually the writing bit of the essay is the fastest bit. Once you have all the information and you've got all of your resources to cite and you have everything, it's just putting it together. It's like if you had a jigsaw puzzle and your little sister came and took it and threw the pieces all over the house, everywhere, just every nook, cranny, corner, up and down, side to side, and collecting every single one of those pieces around the house, going around and finding them. That's what getting those resources are. And once you've got all of those pieces, putting the puzzle together takes significantly less time. That's what the essay writing is. So now with all of the resources collected, what is happening is I'm organizing my notes in a Word document in the order that I'm actually planning on writing out my essay. So like I showed you guys at the very beginning, on a sheet of paper I had my like rough bullet pointed essay structure, starting with my intro, my main body, a bit of a conclusion type of thing. And so now I'm just taking all of those notes, I've put them into a Word document, and then from there, once everything's in an order that I'm pretty happy with, I start to develop the text, and that's when I start to add in my discussions. I've got the facts, and now I just have to write around them and produce really fact-dense, interesting discussion type of essay. Woohoo! Like I said earlier, abstract is super, super important for any scientific paper, essay, article, journal, textbook, whatever. Everything has an abstract and it's super, super important. And I think the best way to get a really good abstract is to save it for last. Don't start your essay by writing an abstract, because even though it's the first thing that people see, it should be the last thing you write, because it's meant to be a summary and a wrap-up and to tell everything that you've said in great detail in your essay, a shorter, condensed, one-paragraph version of that, so that you can kind of captivate potential readers and get people interested in reading your paper. So, essay writing aside, like I said at the beginning of this video, I also wanted to cover studying and how I'm preparing for the exam that I've got when I come back from the holiday. And the exam that I've got it's a multiple choice exam, so it's not overly complicated, it's not too long. It's about half an hour long. And I've already had similar exams to this before, so I'm pretty confident in how I'm preparing for this. So this is going to be a really quick bit, basically. For this exam, what I do is I just go through lectures, and I go through all the slides, go through my notes that I've made from the lectures, lecture capture if, say, something doesn't make sense, I want to hear the lecturer say it again. Lecture capture is available online. So basically after you attend a lecture, about an hour after it's attended, that lecture is actually posted up online. It's an audio recording with also the slides, so you can kind of see what the lecturer is talking about as they say it. Yeah, so I do that, make some notes, kind of go over my notes a couple of times, and just kind of get the information in my head. And I think this exam that I've got is covering 9 lectures, so I'm gonna go over those 9 lectures. I think it's 9, I'm pretty sure. Might be a bit more. The biggest one that we had was 12 lectures. It covered 12 lectures, and that was right before the holiday. And yeah, that's that's it really on the studying side. The studying bit is not nearly as, for me personally, time consuming as the essay is, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to writing this, so it takes me a really long time to get started because I don't want to start with it the way that I know it will end up, which is not very good. I want it to just come out perfect the first time, which obviously doesn't happen. You have to then edit it and rewrite and rephrase and do things like that. But that being said, still the essay, you know, it's a work in progress, I guess. Yeah, and that's really everything I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys kind of got an idea of what it means and what it is like to write an actual scientific essay, and how what it's like as an international student, obviously, going home and not having the resources right at the palm of my hand, because we're kind of a little bit lucky at uni, really, with the resources that we have. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got an insight. If you have any further questions, want to know something that I didn't cover, or have a completely different question that you'd like me to cover as well in the future, don't be afraid to just drop a comment down below, message me on social media, and, you know, hit that subscribe button if you want to see a bit more of my uni life, because I will be posting more. You can look for another video coming up in the new year. That being said, have a wonderful Christmas holiday and Happy New Year, because, well, 2020 is just around the corner. Holy crap, 2020. 20. What is my life? Newspaper article, like, not newspaper, scientific, sorry, it's not STEM, the one with the, I don't remember, the paragraph forming, you know, intro, second, middle, conclusion.